Think of the first bright leaves of spring that evoke freshness. Think of deep green leaves of summer that associate with growth and abundance. Green in all its shades is calming and revitalizing. Green means go. Go ahead and go green. Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nishrin Kothambawala, a landscape architect, a passionate nature enthusiast, and your host tonight. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this digital venue. Our speaker, Ms. Zahra Abdul Malik, is a horticulture consultant with a master's degree from USA and amongst the first female horticulturists in the GCC. For over 20 years, she has worked as a senior specialist in the Research Department, Ministry of Agriculture, Bahrain. She is current chairperson of the Bahrain Garden Club and an advocate of Grow Your Own Food. Tonight, she will be speaking on ideas and ways to incorporate more greenery into your living spaces and how Garden Club can help you develop a green thumb. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome.
To thank Ms. Nishreen for her kind introduction and inviting me to her community to talk a little bit about me as a professional horticulturalist and as a Bahrain Garden Club chairperson. So it is really when you are in the position of introducing gardening and advising in this field, it is very important to have a scientific background to back up your advice. It has to be back up, either by experience or the studies. So for me, myself, it is both. My studies in the United States with my bachelor and master's degree studied in horticulture. Really, it was very strange as a female in this discipline, which is dominated by male. It was overwhelming and challenging, but then it is, even during my studies, I did not have any professor or advisor in the department, a female horticulturist. But this was an interesting. When I got the job in the Ministry of Agriculture in the research department, I was really had the opportunity to do all kind of studies and research and experiments on so many levels and in so many fields of horticulture, be it vegetables, fruits, nursery management, tissue culture. It was everything. So that was a great opportunity. And also during my working as a professional, I get the chance to go all over the world for training in very reputable institutions and universities and training centers all over the world. So this one, it gives me the chance and opportunity to give back to the community in advising as a chairperson of the Bahrain Garden Club. And that's what it brings me. Upon my graduation from college, I was asked to join the club by the chairperson back then. And it was a nice opportunity to go through the garden club position, all of it, because I wanted to learn what is all the club is about. Of course, with this Bahrain Garden Club, it's a very high-profile club. It is really the patron. It's His Majesty, the King of Bahrain, and also it is affiliated to the Royal Horticulture of UK, and we are actively involved for all their mission and vision, and that's what we took upon myself joining the club to do that. So the Bahrain Garden Club, that it has really a huge effect in the Kingdom of Bahrain, be it on the level of really amateur, professional, interested flower arrangers, experiment advocates. There is a platform for everyone to be in that, to have their own needs associated with the club. So, the Bahrain Garden Club concentrate in two different areas. First, we have our annual show, that it is a platform. I think it's the biggest in the Middle East, and I think maybe it is the only platform that it gives all, who have interest, be it professional or amateurs or even students, that they have their work and their hobbies and their interests displayed during the show, that they can compete in so many categories of the club, that it has, it gives really the courage to do more, like from the 3-year-old kid up to the college students and then to the adults. And these be, provide and produce excellence in their work. And they are all appreciated, and there are cups and trophies that they will be awarded. So it is double. They are displaying their talent, and they are being awarded for it. Also, the club annual show, it is really now, because Her Royal Highness Princess Sivisha bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, the wife of His Majesty the King, took the club show annually, that it was only sold by Garden Club, took it to another level in 2004 to be International Garden Show, and which this matter made it really a lot of interest for the local businesses, for the small local businesses to have, different area, be it nurseries, be it in industrial agriculture. So it really encouraged all the local businesses, and also put the Bahrain Garden Club and the Kingdom of Bahrain on the international map by inviting all these international countries to take part in this annual show of the, Bahrain Garden Show, which always happens in the springtime, which is the best time in Bahrain for, having all these beautiful flowers and plants and blooms. So this is the Garden Club show. But when you are a member, you want, always to have, we encourage to have color of green, as Nishreen said, color of green, it's go. It is the positive color in our life. How you can, introduce all these colors into your life. Because I know with our type of life that we are running, be it being busy, or family, or involvement of our work. So this, keeps us away from a lot of things. But Garden Club would, encourage you to have as the minimum to have greenery around your house, your place, your office, because it is healthy to have green around you. Like there are so many studies that conducted over the years for plants, that it is really eco. They call them eco plants because it absorbs all these dangerous, poisonous gases in our environment, in the house, in the office, around our computer. So this is the color of green. It's very important. The green color, which is, not just, because me, I cannot do anything with plastic plants. Really, this is a no-no around my house, around even, people that I know. If I visit a bank or if I visit a company that they don't have greenery around their buildings or offices, immediately I put my opinion down. I want to see their management, their administration, to tell them, please, be careful about your employees, have greenery around you. So this is, me. Sometimes maybe I come strong about it. So also the garden club, really, it is not just growing plants. We are also encouraging in so many talents. First of all, photography, how you can document your work, your gardening, by photography. So we have garden photography. You can document your growing things, your experiments, the wildlife around you, all in the garden photography competition. And this year we are celebrating 22nd edition of our photography competition. That's one for our photographers. We started with amateurs, and now we have amateurs, professionals, and students categories in the photography. Another thing, crafts. For the crafts, a lot of people, they like, especially in this pandemic, they did a lot of crocheting, painting, all this art
it is encouraged, and there is a competition category for the art people in the club. The other thing, it's it is, like when you are growing your vegetables at home, you have plenty of vegetables, you have herbs. For example, if you are growing, like my daughter-in-law, she's in love with Italy, and they grow so much tomato, and they use tomato in so many things. So she's growing tomato all over the place, and she dries, she frees, because that's a competition. Dried fruit, dried vegetables, dried herbs, making pickles, making jam. This competition. So there is every every person with an interest in gardening and the byproduct of gardening, they have a category, they have an enjoyment, they can be part of it. And that's the thing about, you can really, from garden club with your ideas, a lot of, and I'm proudly can say that many of our members, that they are have their own businesses, be it having established nurseries, or they have pickling the produce that they are selling, or even they do jam. So many categories. Even for indoor plants, they are propagating and selling, and all, be it online, be it via Instagram. So these are all club members that they do so many work that they learned through our lectures, through our visitors, through our help. So also for those people that they like flower arranging, as we are affiliated to the Flower Arranger Federation in United Kingdom. So we have a lot of positive, feedback from them, and a lot of interest. So members, they can also pursue the flower arranging, and it is a huge category in the annual competition that they can enter, be it dry flower arrangement, be it ikebana, European type of flower arrangements. These are really a lot of interest. They can see it in the categories, and they can grow the interest. Maybe in the future they can open a florist. And they can be an expert by experience, not by profession, by experience. They can learn and be really good at it. And also there are, personally, it is my passion to have things around my house that it is, it bring the greenery, and this is for the young people that they have young kids, they are busy, they don't have space for gardening, but they can do so much within their flats, within their balconies, that they can grow things. The new technology of vertical gardens, they can use their balconies. They can do a lot of indoor, like the terrarium, even if you are busy with your kids, they are small, you can have natural, because plastic is nothing. You can see the plants growing in front of you and evolving. So terrarium, it is very nice, like that, we have a lot of different plants that, and we collect so much glasses and material in our houses, so we can grow them and cover them. This is, it is a garden club competition, but internet, the terrarium is different than our competition. For our competition, it's only compost and your non-flowering plants. But for the, just put some river stone in the container, glass container. I innovate, because I don't want the plant to move all around. So what I do, I put this mesh wire around in the pot with some river stone to keep my plant in place. So you can innovate by yourself, do so many things that, to enjoy green life, and you can have a lot of babies. Yeah, like this one, I have so many offshoots that's growing, and I can take them and put them in a smaller bottle to enjoy a collection. Another thing that you can enjoy a lot, it is my patiflare. The patiflare, it is greenery. You can put, like in a bamboo, and then you put the pot directly with their pots in the bigger pot, and have some wood chip around them. But the thing is that you can enjoy color, because are green, but you can enjoy color with the patiflare, that you can cut some flower from the garden, or even you can buy one stem flower from the florist, and have it in your patiflare to give you some color. But the thing that to stay these flowers stay for a long time, always stick your your flower in the plastic with water, so it doesn't dry out. It will stay like the chrysanthemum. But I have it now, and the tiny bit of the. I took this from the bigger flower. It will stay in the potty flare for 2 weeks. Keep flowering and nice and beautiful, and you enjoy color and the greenery. It's alive. So plastic collect dust and you will clean it and you will not enjoy it. But with this one, uh, you will enjoy, like some of the plants, like Christmas plants, if you have it inside. It will, you can have it in your bedroom. It emits oxygen during the night. So if you have it in your bedroom, you have plenty of oxygen in your bedroom. So this is a lot of things that you can do with little maintenance, especially for the young couples that they have small children, they are busy, life is busy, taking to school, bringing from school, and all that. We can do stuff like that to enjoy the liveliness of gardening, and be innovative in ways to have bring in the, the greenery from your garden, even if you are in a flat. Because many people they say, "Oh, I don't have a space for gardening. I'm in a flat." But in a flat, you can have plenty of plants in your flat to enjoy with less maintenance. Like I said, all these ways that you have really live plants with you, living things with you to enjoy. So this is some of the things that you can learn through garden club. Of course, garden club, it's different than learning things through YouTube. Garden club teaches you things what is happening in Bahrain. You know that's our under our condition, especially for the garden outside. Like our soil, we have it's a loamy, have high calcium content. Then our water on the salty side of the thing. Then our temperature, high temperature and humidity. This is all consideration for the outside. For the inside, in Bahrain, also we have the air conditioning, because we cannot live without air conditioning during the summertime, which is sometimes long period. So how we deal with plants that it is in air conditioning. With the water plants, with the terrarium, there is no problem, because up to 29 degrees centigrade, it will be okay. No problem with the terrarium and the water in the plant. For this one, doesn't matter, even 40 degrees temperature, it's okay, because the plant's in the water. But for your terrarium, it's, the temperature should not exceed 29 degrees centigrade, because then it will, the temperature fluctuation, especially if you're not central cooling, it's a unit, you open and close the unit, so the temperature from 16 degrees or 25 degrees, it goes all the way to 45 degrees within half an hour. So that's, the only concern it will be during the summertime. But I will enjoy these ones, that I don't have to worry. Even when I'm traveling, I don't have to worry about them. I don't need anybody to go to my house and water them or take care of them, and to be worried that when I'm coming back that they are all dead. So no worries about this. And you can do so many, even your herbs, even some of the vegetables, because like I know, as I studied in Netherlands, uh, like about 90% of their production of vegetables that they export to all over the world, they are growing in either hydroponic or NFT, which is nutrient film technique. They are in water. The tomatoes, the fruits and pears and everything, it is growing in liquid. Of course, it's under completely controlled environment of greenhouses, glass houses, computerized greenhouses. But if you have a conservatory in your house, you can have a water feature in that conservatory, and a lot of your outdoor plants can be grown indoor, like the hibiscus, the lantana, the sage, which is a beautiful herb. You can grow it all inside your frangipani. So many outdoor. You can bring them inside under your conservatory. But of course, like I said, if you have a water feature inside the conservatory, it's good, because the humidity will, it will deter the dryness of the air conditioning problem. So this is, the thing that I really wanted to let you know about the gardening in Bahrain and what we do. And of course, everybody says Bahrain. It is like one of the beautiful island around the world. It's green. People they like gardening. They like farming, and it's been for since the old days. Our parents and grandparents, at least they have a date palm in their home, which I advocate date palms.
Zara, whatever you have told us till now makes us want to go more and more environmentally friendly and grow plants, make our world green. Zara, tell us a little more about soil, compost, and what you were mentioning about how you make sure that your plants are alive even when you come back after a holiday. That's a big problem because a lot of us need to find somebody to house sit the plants or face the fact that some we are going to lose some of them.
Yeah, and terrarium, thank you, the Fakar, for the question. Terrarium, I personally, because that there are, it would be my experience that it stays for at least 6 months without me opening the plastic to water or anything. I do not I do not plant flowering plants because once the flower drops, it will decay and it might has a problem with fungus. I use soil, just the compost, the regular compost, without any addition. Because if you are planting in containers outside or even in the indoor plants, you might need to add perlite or add vermiculite to give little bit aeration in the soil so the roots can grow easily within the pot. But with terrarium, you don't need to add anything. Just you put your layer of the shingles and then pieces of charcoal, which is absorbs any poisonous, toxic gases that it is within the soil in the making of the soil or the compost. It can absorb that one, and also if the plant produces some toxicity, that charcoal will absorb. I do not mix the plants that they don't have the same needs. Like I like to have, like for example, this one kind of plant, in the red color of the plant, it stays a much longer time. Because if you mix in your terrarium different plant types, the borders with the different one or any 3 or 4 varieties of the plants, then one it would grow faster than the other. So you keep have to open the plastic and trim back because it will come over here to the top. So you keep opening and trimming back, and this will dry out. So if you plant one variety of that, this is not for competition. It is for your home. If you plant one variety in your terrarium, personally, I don't like to put accessories. I don't like to put stones or shells, seashells. Some people they do. We call those ones. We don't call them terrarium. We call them growing in glass because they're open. They have cactuses with accessories, stones. They might do a rock garden within the glass. You know, so uh, that means open. That means the regular care, the regular watering, and all that. But terrarium, it is really a reflection of tropical, really deep tropical part of the world, which is dark soil with the greenery. That is, they don't need even the sun because they have dark green with the dark soil. That's the reflection. Our competition. That's the reflection of terrarium.
Zara, you mentioned terrarium. Now, in this, it is so important that we do something like this to make sure our plants remain alive. Because as you mentioned, you don't have to water your plants even and worry about them for long periods of time. This is something very interesting. Tell us. But you also mentioned that you do compost, you put compost as a medium. What is this compost? How do you compost? Where do you get your compost from? Tell us more about that.
Even if you are in the balcony, really a simple thing. If you have a plastic container, or you can even a wooden, like a lot of these electronic crates, they have the wood. You make your own box, with slight opening between the woods, and then so nothing can come out. I would do a lining of net material, so there will be aeration going into your compost box for nitrogen to do the work of decomposition of all the material. So it's all the kitchen waste, like the fruit and all that. Some people, they will say, can we add this and this and this, but make it a habit near your kitchen sink. Put a box, like eating a banana, throw it in. Eating an orange, throw it in. Your breakfast, the shell of the eggs, you put it in. So this, it will give you the habit that everything goes into that one, and then put it in your hand. The thing that it has to have air. If I use a plastic barrel, just make some holes on the top so some air can go in and out. And then once in a while you have to mix it. Like for me, I even, the tissue, I put the magazine, the newspaper, without the glossy pages. I cut them, I put them in the compost. I put my lawn clipping little bit. I don't put too much because a lot of salt will be in the grass clipping, so a little bit. If you have, like any organic manure, be it chicken manure or horse manure or cow manure, you can add little bit, and every 2 3 weeks you just mix it. And in Bahrain, because we have a lot of sun and our sunshine is really so strong, personally I empty my compost barrel twice a year. So I have, like in Europe, maybe it will take, yeah, in Europe and some other countries, it takes them 6 months, 7 months to have their compost ready. But here in Bahrain, we have it within 3 4 months. The compost barrel will be ready, and you can use it in your garden, in your pot, for your vegetables. If you are growing your vegetables in the balcony, use that one really as your base soil for growing. So it will be organic, starting from organic. Yeah.
Interestingly, Zara, you mentioned eggshells, but I have read that when you put eggshells into your compost bin, a lot of times it is seen that eggshells are the only thing that doesn't become a composted fertilizer, and they remain as eggshells. What do you say about that? I mean, is there a way we can avoid being in this situation? Is there something that we could do?
Uh, I personally, a lot of people, they say, "Oh, we just put the eggshell directly in the garden for the plants." In Bahrain, our soil is high in content of calcium, and eggshells is calcium. So you don't really need to add more calcium into your soil. So you're adding more salt to your soil. But in containers that we grow a lot of tropical plants, they come from acidic soil. The only way that you can really combat the pieces of the eggshell that does not decompose. What I do, I wash my eggshell because always stays some of that, because if I'm putting it directly in my pots, uh, then I don't want any bacteria or any fungus to grow from that. So I wash it. But personally, I wash all my egg shells and leave it on a side. After 2 days, I grind it. It's a powder, and I add it to my compost barrel.
There was an interesting thought that has crossed minds of certain people in our community that if we have a problem where retail is closed and soil is not available, how do we do things without soil? what can be done, especially in this times of lockdown where you are into growing plants, but you can't find soil, garden soil or potting soil, and you don't know what to do.
for for the for if like if you run out of soil, like a lot of people, they annually they change their the pot soil. You really don't need to change your potting soil from the pots that you are growing your vegetables or herbs. Like I advise, grow a lot of your vegetables in hydroponically, like with water, and have them in your windowsill. And but for the soil, that if you run out, then what you need. What is the soil is giving for the plant? What is it? The soil. It's a medium to provide nutrients and also to hold the roots in place. That's the two main reason for the soil, holding the roots as a support and giving nutrients. So if you are already and you don't have the soil, you're running out, you don't have wood chip, okay? Try to grow them hydroponically, like in the water, then you can add your nutrients, and that like if it's really once a month or less even, to give your nutrients, to put it in that water. What they need, it's the source of carbon in energy to activate the roots and do the working and produce the energy for the plant to grow. And also, you need, the light for the photosynthesis if it's on indoors. So really the soil, it is not a must because it has to be a soil. It's a medium to hold the roots and to provide. If you can provide those two with other things like I did with my wire, and I have the stone holding, and then I add my nutrients to the liquid, that's it. So you don't get really stuck with the lockdown. Hopefully that will be done and never come back to this lockdown. It is it's stressing everybody. Yeah, I'm glad that this it was a period of reflecting for many key gardeners, because like when we went into lockdown in Bahrain, I wanted to keep our membership really active, and not to go into stress phase. So what I did in the WhatsApp, I said, you guys, I want everybody to go into your garden and just practice your photography skill and share your photos. Oh my God, it was fun. Everybody was going, taking pictures of their pots, of their flowers, of their plant. So it was a sharing and a joyful that, they kept them really busy and kept them, to go into the garden because they were so stressed out that they forgot about gardening. So that was one way of keeping them stress free, and also they're practicing their photography skill. So that was something about lockdown. So don't let the soil, the lockdown affect you, but not having the soil.
Oh, so are you saying that any plant can be grown indoors? I don't have to worry about whatever kind of plant I want to grow. I want to grow a tree indoors. Is it possible? Technical.
Yes, because like in Bahrain, we have a lot of tropical plants. Many tropical plants that are growing in our gardens. They are putting up with the heat of our zone. We are in a desert zone. They are putting up with the heat, with sometimes a lot of humidity. Direct sun all the time, from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the evening. So that's really harsh condition for the plants. But if you are bringing them inside with the soil, with temperature that it is really like of course if you have central cooling, it's no issue. You have it in minimum that it is give you that even the 35 degrees, but will not affect your plant that they are in the water. So anything you can grow, but the thing that you have to be careful, you're growing crowns of some of the plants like this pendants. I have to make sure that the growing crowns of the plant sitting on the stone. The rest of the plant, the roots, they are soaked in the water. Some plants they like they like to be soaked in the water. A lot of herbs they are okay to be the whole thing without stone in the soils. But some of the plants, some of the indoor even plants, because I experiment over the years all the indoor plants that I like. That like one of my favorite plants. It is the peace lily. I love that plant. You know I have did so many years of experiment. I wanted to grow it that when I travel, come back, I don't want that plant to be dead, and the water. So I did different things and, like just plain water, stone, that much level until, you can see it. It is, it's happy when the growing crown of it, it's on the top of the stone, the roots in there. So some plant they don't mind to be in the water. Some plant you have to be just the roots soaked in the water. Well, they will never dry out. When you come back after 3 weeks or a month, they will not be dead. They will be alive and happy.
Oh, Zara, so you are saying ginger and turmeric and tubers like that also can be grown in a medium of water and just a few stones to hold it in place? This is very interesting. I love ginger, I love turmeric, and it would be very interesting to know that if I could grow them just in water and not have to worry about planting them and anything like that. Very interesting. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Yes, about the ginger, as I said in NFT, there are so many vegetables and plants that you can grow in hydroponically or NFT, which is nutrient film technique, that you can have your plants' roots in the water without the growing crowns to be soaked in water. So ginger, it's the same as the rest of the plants. You can grow it, and like any other tubers or rhizomes, there are so many ways, either in the soil or it's in the water or in the NFT. Just the roots are soaking. So this is one way of technology that allowed us to grow so many plants and not to worry about soil and soil infections or diseases. Have the plant during traveling. So the ginger is still the same, So I encourage to try, sometimes depending on how you deal with it, it will be successful or not. But it's always nice to experiment with your plants in liquid water. I mean, in water or in NFT. So this is one technique for growing many things, be it vegetables, ornamental, or other things.
Medicinal plants is something that is always on people's mind. We hear about aloe vera, various other things. There are herbs that we hear about to use in the food. Now, these kind of plants, what do you have to say about that? Is the medicinal value correct, and should we be practicing that all the time?
Okay. Medicinal plants, the different categories of plant kingdom, be it trees, shrubs, ground covers, tubers, rhizomes, herbs, annual flowers, perennials, cactuses. Each category of this kingdom, one part or more of the plant that has a medicinal use. But just a regular person cannot say, okay, you go to, there's a lot of people like, oh, aloe vera, it is really nice to grow your hair, Put a lot of aloe vera in your hair, and, like if you are bald, then your hair will grow. You cannot advise that. You have to be, talking, advice with an experience that, like medicine, like, otherwise we will not have all these companies that produce medicine. Their base medicine is from plant. The perfume comes from plants. The soap companies and all that. But you cannot advise as an ordinary person that, do this or do that. with this plant. With that, it might be will have. You have to experiment the use of that one because it might have side effects. So, like when there is a herbalist, he has this experience over years that he did all this work and used it in different ways and many stages. He knows which one is for what and which amount, when to use it, before or after food, or if you are, I don't know what, it's always, it has to be, for me, I will never advise people to, like, I know, I will tell them, for example, my neem tree. I know, like, in my garden, I have a neem tree that repels all the insects, you know. It's a medicinal plant also. Yeah, my tree produces 40 kg of seeds. I grind the seed, I use it as a spray. I add it to the soil to combating a lot of insects, in the soil. It can be used as neem oil, for many insects and diseases. Yeah, neem oil. Yeah, you can use it as, like, to advise for use in the garden. But for human, we have to, talk with experience that but we can grow. Yeah, we can grow. Indoor, yes. Hydroponically, we can grow.
Hydroponics, you say, Zara, you can use hydroponics to grow any kind of plant, tree, anything inside, like you mentioned, neem tree also. Maybe, I think this week we can challenge you if you could come up with a way that we could grow plants hydroponically, or rather some kind of a little tree or something in the premises of the masjid, the outside the main praying area. That would be an interesting thing to do. You should look at it because this would put us in a place that we are practicing what we love best, the environment. And seeing the fact that our spiritual leader, Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin, tells us that go green, grow plants, and being environmentally friendly is always very, very good for you. So I would think, Nisreen, take up this challenge. Maybe this is something that a direction that we should go by.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, we did an experiment with my son. He has a conservatory now with a water feature, and it has a top glass and all walls around. Then he has a water feature inside. So he has an frangipani in his conservatory, and he's really watching that tree because it was a tree in the ground. Okay, and we removed it. We put it in a pot. We put it in the and like my two sons, they grow up with listening to all these names of plants and trees and gardens. I think when they grow up, they don't want to hear anything about gardening because they had enough. But he has a frangipani inside. Can you imagine having a frangipani? And also frangipani is a medicinal plant, and also with the flowers, beautiful flowers. So you can grow a lot. Yes, you can grow a lot of plants indoor hydroponically, or we call it soilless. Soilless, that means you can use gravel and all that in liquid solution. You know. So
Zara, tell us something about the garden that you are sitting in. I believe you said it is your son's garden that you're sitting in and you're proud of it. So why don't you tell us a little more about this garden?
yes, well, actually, Zulfaqar, I am really sitting in my son's garden. And yes, my son's garden, like, really, actually, it is my daughter-in-law. She is an engineer in a very tough discipline of engineering, very stressful, long hours of working. And she started the interest of gardening when she moved in her own house, just to relieve all that stress. But I am, I can really proudly say that, this girl, she really transformed from not knowing a single name of plants and flowers to knowing all these plants in her garden. She, first of all, she landscaped her own garden. She did the design, and and she talks to you as an engineer. I tell her, no, don't talk to me as an engineer, just please talk to me as an environment person, a gardener person. No, it has to be like this. So for the first few months being in her house, I think she visited all nurseries in the kingdom. She's familiar with nursery carry out what, and with the experimenting with all these pots and containers and plants, and being in the ground better or it's in the pot better. You know what? The baqar, the bird of paradise, I haven't seen it in Bahrain flowered. Really, I haven't. In her garden, she has it, a beautiful plant, because you can see it in the florist shop that they always bring it for flower arranging. So she is really, I can say proudly that she turned her garden. Maybe I can just view little bit side of her garden for you and for the viewers to see, that with a tiny, she doesn't have a big garden, but even she's an artist. She paint. Of course, she didn't take that after me. She take that after her mom, an artist. She incorporated art with gardens plants. She did a lot of drawing and like window in the wall. That's her drawing, and she has all these pieces of art in the garden, and she used all her walls, because vertical garden, if you don't have space, and here in Bahrain, mashallah, we have so much walls, because we have like around our houses all walls, for privacy. So she used every single wall she has, be it for growing herbs or being ornamental plants. So she used that all, displaying her art group, art pieces. So it is incorporating. That's she got that one, uh, being a member of the Bahrain Garden Club, because she enters in the competition and she learns about the rules, what is needed in the competition. She tries to follow and increase, and she does not leave her garden in one look. Every year she's adding, she's removing, she's changing. If it was grass, she will do it differently. If she has here, she will do arch and have a climber on it. So it is really interesting with her how she developed from not knowing anything about gardening to full-time really gardener. And what makes me so proud that I am been as a horticulturist, I have the young fans of small gardeners, my grandchildren. My granddaughter, she said, Deda, grandma, now today I am in the club of the Eco Gardening Club in the school. She told her that because my grandma, she's into gardening, I joined this club. So I have new generation coming of gardeners. So at least we have some legacy left, to be leaving, behind.
Zara, you know what? You are sitting in a beautiful garden, yes, but I'm sure there are more to this part of the garden, the front part, or even more of the garden that you can probably walk around and show us. Why don't you show us the garden, Zara? It'll be very interesting.
And now we can go around the garden, so hopefully that you can enjoy. This garden, it's a small size, and it is really that a lot of containers, because when you have a small garden, you do containers, because containers then you can have an impact. If you have visitors, you can move around your containers easily to give you a really immediate effect. But if it's in the ground, you cannot change. But containers, you can do, like once a month, you can rearrange, have this in the other place and bring the other containers around. So, like even with her lemon tree, which has a lemon, which is really nice, it's in a container. It's not impossible to grow things in containers because, like a lemon there is no space for in the ground, but there is a container. All like the Exora, her lantana, a lot of the things that they are happy in the ground, but they are happier in the container, and also it is less maintenance. Like for the containers, for feeding, watering, it is also cutting back on watering and feeding. It's a lot, with the container in the garden. See the bougainvillea. She had displayed the bougainvillea in the several as a single specimen with tapir as a climber on the wall. Instead of just looking at a big, huge white wall, we have this bloom in Bahrain year round. And the less water, the more blooms for this. Also, to be environmentally friendly also, and to use natural, not like this natural stones, with the river stones, that it can, cutting down on the watering and also cutting down on weeding efforts. And then you have your climber, it gives you an effect really in the garden. Another thing that she's really, as an engineer, she very important to her, the lighting in the garden. The lighting is very important to, especially if you have an event during the evening. So lighting, it will, the spotlight will bring out, the things that you really want to show. She is an artist, so she has a lot of painting on her, wall in the garden. So bringing the wildlife drawings within, it gives her more space, like in the garden, even it's a small garden. Also, the water feature. And I talked about, like a lot of plants, because they are tropical, like the cannas and all that. She has a water feature that within that water feature, she has water plants that, she can enjoy. We call this water lettuce. She can enjoy. In the backdrop, she has the climbers and some shrubberies, hibiscus and jatropha's and all that. And she's enjoying. This tree, one of the things that she really worked on it is the Cassia festola. They call it in India a shower of rain shower or something like that, or gold shower, because the flowers, when it flowers, it's like a yellow chandelier. So it's a beautiful, and even her neighbors, they're enjoying. So it is really, that's another thing. I talked about the bird of paradise. Starting with one plant, see how much it's increased. Massive, really massive. And this, like, it's very expensive plant in the florist. When they do arrangements with bird of paradise, it's so expensive. But if you have it at home, you can, you have it in your arrangements. Those climbers that she has, different climbers that flowers in different time. Now the bleeding heart, the clerodendron, it's flowering now. The beautiful red flowers, it's really, gives an effect to the backdrop of the water. In the summertime, she has her alamanda. The Bahraini jasmine on the back, it will be flowering year round. So she has different time with the different climbers that is flowering, and it gives an enjoyment. And also, her sitting area, like, it is like when you're sitting with the greenery, it's so nice. Even the kids, with her loz tree, this is a very important Bahraini Indian almond. It fruits. It's a fruit tree, and the children, they can do their artwork also to have it hanging during festive season. They have different things hanging on that. A lot of hanging baskets in the garden, a lot of containers. So every corner, even with the shady corners, she has plants in them. So it gives really, you can feel that she is really using the garden artistically, and different corners is giving different effect. Even if they are inside, from each window from the house inside, she can see a different corner of the garden. So like she's bringing the outside garden into her house. Like if they are in the dining room, she has a one part of the garden. If they are in the sitting area, they have different part of it. If they are eating breakfast, they have a different view of the garden, and that makes it really interesting. With her Washingtonia, even the neighbor they are enjoying. It's giving little bit privacy, but her neighbor also they are enjoying the greenery. They can see from their windows all greenery. All around her, the neighbor, they can see greenery, which is a really nice thing to share with your neighbors. If you are a king gardener, your effect it will can go, spread everywhere. Like for the, like this cycles, in the, during the summertime, the summer heat and the 12 hours of sunlight can affect. But during the summertime, she puts an umbrella of net material around it, just to have some shade around the trees. But the rest, because of the water and humidity, a lot of things they survive, and they are compacted together, so it is really making everything survive during the summer. So her garden is really a summer garden. It's a lot of tropical plants that they do well during the summertime, and that's what we need. If we just depend on annual flowers, winter things, it's short period, 2 months, but our period of summer is long summer. So if you have tropical plants, they survive with the heat and the high temperature and sunlight, and they can do well with that one. You plant those ones, so you can enjoy them 8 months of the year. So this is another tips for gardening in Bahrain or any zone that is similar to Bahrain. That you can grow things that can withstand the heat and sun. So this is, I hope you enjoyed the garden of my son and daughter, which I'm really proud of them. That they give us the chance to share with our viewers. Thank you.
Fantastic garden there, Zahra. It's a beautiful place that your son has. I'm sure you have been definitely a guiding star for your son, your daughter-in-law, to make sure this kind of a garden is a possibility. It's a beautiful manifestation of what people like and desire. Wow, wonderful.
Zara, as you mentioned, the green color is so pleasing to the eye. And also, it is very important that we do this indoors, like you mentioned earlier and even now. That indoor planting is something that will make it very, very pleasant. So tell us a little more about the greenery and why that is important.
Yes, because green color, like always, I remember always my mom was saying, like the people that they are living in the mountains in the desert area, they look sad. They was like they're upset. Their look, even if they are not, but their look gives that. But if you are in the area of green, if you feel happy, you have a smiley face, even if you're not smiling, but you have a very relaxed face, because gardening is really a huge therapeutic. It's really therapeutic. It keeps your mind away from thinking. Just think of the plant. Do with the plant, because like even weeding, when you go into your lawn, remove some weeds from your. This is moving therapy. We don't need to go to doctors and do sessions. We need just to be with our gardens, with our plants, with the nature around us. It is, I think, more than enough.
Zara, I'll continue with our little bit of questions that I would yet like to put to you. One of them is pruning the trees. We saw a lot of plants here, and there comes a time when plants have to be pruned so that they grow with more vigor. Isn't that right? Tell us a little more about pruning.
Okay, the pruning, it's a huge, like a course of pruning. Like a whole semester we take for this course of pruning. Of course, pruning, it's just like human being. They must cut their hair, shave their beard, or whatever. It's the plant is the same way. At what time you need to either remove pruning. It's not always pruning. That means really you're really cutting everything. Sometimes pruning is just removing the edges, cutting back. Like in case of the mango. Like in Bahrain, when you prune the mango, it's right after the harvest. When harvest is finished, you remove all the whipping branches. You keep all the upright branches. This is for the mango. Each tree has a different pruning time in Bahrain. I'm talking in Bahrain. For example, there are things that you can clip and tidy up all year around. For the bougainvillea, anytime. You can cut back and prune and keep it tidy. A lot of the hedges you can do. But for fruit tree, you have to be careful. After harvest, you can do that. Because if you do before, you might take off a lot of branches that it will be carrying out the for the fruiting for next season. So after you finish fruiting and finish harvest, then you can do the pruning, especially the fruit trees, lemon, mango, jujube, and also, that the things that the fruit trees, even fig that we grow here in Bahrain. For the other ornamental, like the roses, like now our Bahraini roses or the Sultani roses, they are in bloom now. So you don't do while in the dormant month of the plant, then you can cut it really back because they can have the tendency to grow so wild. So you can really cut it back and shade and without worrying. But you know some of the plant they don't bother even if they're flowering. But me personally, I don't. Only the bougainvilleas that I prune any time of the year. I prune, I transplant, and but a lot of the other things, like the hibiscus, if I prune it once, even if it's sometimes it's a year-round flowering plant, but I
A
have to be
year-round
careful
flower
not
plant, but I have to be
prune the
careful not
branches that it
to
will be carrying the bud for flowering
prune the
next season,
branches that it will
or
be
the
carrying
next
the bud
step.
for flowering
So you
next
have to
season,
be
Okay.
careful
or the
knowing,
next step. So you
Yeah.
have to
just
be
to
careful
harvest.
knowing,
Yes.
when to harvest. Yes.
Mm. Just, I think one last question I would ask you now. Like indoor plants, it's all about apartments and growing indoors. What kind of light would be required, so that we can grow even flowering plants? Is there any advice on that?
The indoor plants, we don't have to worry for our growing plants outdoor, of course. As in Bahrain, we have really nice sunlight outside. Some other countries that they have rainy days with clouds and all that, they have issues with sunlight, even for the outside plants. For inside, for growing indoor plants, light is one of the component of the functions of photosynthesis. So many plants, they need between 3 to 6 hours of light. And some plants, you can place them near the window where they get filtered through the window, the light. But also the artificial lights, it's okay. We can use them, as a table lamp or, all kind of energy-saving lights we can use. But the technology now is so many kind of light, that's serving energy saving or decorative lights, blue lights, purple lights, and all these red and mixture of lights. The plants needs lights to do the function, photosynthesis, because to grow. That's the major thing of photosynthesis, is to grow. So it is, whatever lights that it is suits your surrounding, your need for the place, it should be okay for the growing plants, because it is, we have to treat the indoor plants not as an accessory or part of the decor or part of the furniture. No, these are living things, so they have a needs of, either irrigation, water, and nutrients. Light is important. So we have to be conscious that our plants getting enough light for that period of time, 3 or 6 hours. But the difference between even the indoor plants, there are some plants with variegated leaves. They need more light than the one color of leaf of the plants. If there are darker green colors of plants, their need of light, it is less. So we have to be, conscious that, the color of the leaves also, it has a role of, giving the plants that need of the lights. So it is, that's we have to bear in mind.
So that's why you need different kind of light. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you
Yes,
very much,
yes,
Zahra,
yes.
for a brilliant evening, and thank you for advising us. And I'm sure it will help a lot of the community to start, if they have already not been doing that, start in at least a small way, growing plants and making their houses and surroundings green. I take this opportunity
Yeah.
to thank Munira Shafiq, Maria Hamid, Rashida Waji, and Zainab Gadiwala for promoting today's webinar to not only the community but to the outside people also. So anybody can benefit from this. And of course, Murtaza Vora, Mohammad Kothawala, Mustafa Patanwala, thank you very much for doing the IT setup and making sure that Zahra is involved in it as the center of our attention. Thank you very much, Zahra. Thank you, Nisreen, for introducing us to Zahra. And of course, we have left Nisreen with a challenge. And I'm sure, under the guidance of our leader in Bahrain, Mustafa Zakawi, we are sure that we will be able to do many more things and making the mosque and the surroundings green. And there are some projects in mind, so we will, of course, remain as a leading community to leave the imprint of green on the island. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And I return the control back to the scene if she would like to say a few words before we close the webinar. Thank you.
For me, like I really would like to thank everybody that they are involved in this webinar. It's been a great pleasure to be in my son and daughter's garden, that it is introduced to everybody, and also to have been, shed a light on the Bahrain Garden Club, which is a really shining dot in our kingdom. And also, as a landscape and keen gardeners advocate and environment advocate, I encourage everybody to be around garden and nature. Keeps you sane and keeps you away from stress, and will keep you healthy. So it's been really a nice time that I worked with the team. They are so lovely and very cooperative and really nice and really pleasant people, really. And thank you, Nasreen, to introduce me to this.
Thank you so much,
your community.
Zahra. Thank you so much, Zahra and Zulfikar Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.